So this is episode 1 of the Impodcast. Thank you, Kalila, for joining me for this. And this is something that I created, and I have a vision for this. I call it the Impodcast, the Impossible Podcast, and I wrote Impossible in blue, Podcast in yellow. They intersect at PO, which is why that's in green. And so I wanted to have the idea of achieving the impossible and doing things that other people might not think are possible, or being an entrepreneur, or hitting a goal, or getting out of the box that someone placed you in, and just taking your life where you want to take it. And it can be anything. So, I mean, someone even told me, oh, is it the I'm podcast? And I didn't even think of that when I made it. I was just thinking the Impodcast, but it could be the I'm podcast. Maybe I'm the podcast. Maybe you're the podcast. Maybe anyone else is the podcast who wants to be the podcast in whatever way they want to make it. I don't really want a point to the podcast.
Yeah.
Just make it and see where it goes. So, like, when I brought this idea to you, what did you think? What did you think of the Impodcast? Or what was your perception?
First, I walked in, I was like, okay, this guy's legit. And I thought it was a great idea because I have a lot of support in my life. I have a lot of good support systems, and I know that's not something that everybody has. Not everybody has like a soundboard. When they have something that they're interested in or something that they want to do, they don't always have someone to go to, who will kind of uplift them, encourage them, hear them out, kind of brainstorm with them, connect them. So I feel like if I can do that for anybody else, that'd be really awesome, or just be part of the conversation, whatever someone's looking to make happen for themselves or for others.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's support is a big thing, and I think people have their own idea of what support is, and a lot of times too in the social media age, it's like someone clicks like on a post, and you get this idea that like that person's supporting you, or but is it like are they really supporting
Where's
you?
The
or
real conversation?
Yeah, do you sit down with those people and talk like this is what I want to do as a goal?
We miss out on a lot these days. So.
Yeah, like a group of 4 people walking, they're all texting, and no one's talking to each other, and they're all talking to someone thousands of miles away, and they're not talking to the people within their own group there at the scene. And it's you see it with the younger generation and people our age. It's it's really becoming a problem, and then they can't go to a job interview confidently, and their social skills are being ruined from that. And I think just a forum like this, or just talking to people, it's kind of a lost art in a way.
Yeah, I was just complaining the other day that I'm like, what did the people do in the 90s? If you showed up somewhere to hang out with a friend, and you don't have your cell phone to text them, obviously. I mean, we were using payphones back then, or home phones. It's you wait there, you know, see if they show up. But it's much more natural, and I don't know, I miss having actual conversations.
Same here.
Especially with stuff like this, it's really important. Not, trivial matters, small talk, pop culture, all that's fun, of course, but I'm hoping to bring back conversation any way I can. It's so hard getting people out of the texting mode. Now we text our conversations paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, and it's not what it's really meant for. I can't even get on the phone with a friend without them thinking something's wrong. We were just texting, and I'm like, hey, my thumbs are tired, I'm gonna call you. And they answer the phone, and they're like, hello?
Is everything okay?
Yeah, they're like, you okay? And they sound all weird, and I'm like, yeah, just wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, it's doing that. It's kind of creeping up where you don't really know what's happening, because I'll notice it too. I'll be on my phone for too long, and I'm looking at my phone, I need to put this down. There's I'm outside, there's trees and birds and clouds, and I'm looking at this phone screen that's a filter of what someone else wanted something to be that they posted. That's it's all this layers of stuff that a lot of times doesn't really matter. And it's social media is great, where you can express yourself and you can get ideas out there, and we can share information and get information from someone from the other side of the world easily. But it's become kind of an identity thing. This is my identity. This is who I am now on the internet. Whereas before,
marketing yourself, even if it's not for a job or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And before, it's when the internet came out, it's oh, this is a break from the real world. And now it's the internet's the world, and this is the
real
break.
World. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It's it flip-flops.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I can't.
Even just this,
I'm
a
not
podcast.
some bitter. I mean, I am 26. I almost forgot my age for a second. I'm 26, and I see my mom, and I see elderly people on their phones all the time. The idea is that we're the ones that are messed up and always overusing technology. We didn't invent this stuff. We just kind of came into it at the right time. But it's kind of nuts. I think everybody has an issue with getting just way too sucked into the phones and disengaging from themselves. And also, I mean, that kind of leaches back into the topic of what are you doing with your time?
Yeah.
How much time you actually spend. I don't know, scrolling through the same crap you went through in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Like refreshing it every 5 seconds, thinking something's going to be different.
Kind of having surface level contact with people, kind of passively, interacting with their profiles and, different time, different spaces. Everybody's coming to it when they have a second. But I'd much rather just get back to actually setting up a time to see someone and going and seeing them, meeting up in one place.
Absolutely.
And having the uncomfortable silences, quote unquote, that are not uncomfortable at all,
Yeah, not at all. Maybe it's just a time to be silent, or maybe everyone's tired and it's just and a lot of people do get weird about like oh, someone should be saying something.
Because we don't see each other anyway, period, these days. So that I don't know. I feel like everything's awkward.
Mm-hmm. And we're making it more awkward on ourselves.
Let's just sit and stare at trees together. I don't know. It sounds really hippie-ish.
That sounds like an awesome date idea, though. It's like it's like, oh, but we're gonna spend all this money, and then it's the first time we're seeing. It's like, why not go and look at trees?
Well, maybe I've been thinking. I think we talked about this about how there's always a sort of renaissance. People want to get back to their roots, we'll call it, or the way things were. However we idealize, what we've had before, that some sort of modern technology or way or system has kind of ruined. And I think eventually we will get back to, there'll be a movement to get off the phones and the computers, and people will want to do it. They'll recognize that they are enjoying their day-to-day lives more. And I use the example about our health trends now and how we look at health and taking care of ourselves. Like, that's a major priority now, the way we eat, the way we move. Everybody pays attention to what they're buying. They read the ingredients, they look at their food choices and where they go out to eat at a restaurant even, and before, like maybe the last 50, 60 years since, World War II, and they started doing the TV dinners and whatnot. But,
right.
So that held on for a long time, and then we got worse because of it. We got sicker, we got more tired, and now we're kind of having this resurgence of let's go back to what's natural and what's real. And I think that'll happen with our use of technology for entertainment anyway.
I think that's a good point too, like bringing it back to the internet, where it's like we had that point of kind of losing the health consciousness, and then now with information being so widely available, people are able to look up like what's in foods and like good exercises, or just anything that's like health related. And so there's a lot more people that have access to health information that they might not have had access to before the internet. So there's a positive of what it could be and what it has been. Like anything though, it's like you weigh the pros and the cons, and I hope there is a resurgence too back to just like normal human interaction. And it kind of unfortunately looks like it's not really going in that direction. It looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better.
It'll pop, and it's not all at once, and it's not everybody, but there will be enough people where you can find your tribe and enjoy that. I'm wondering if maybe we're going to get someone on here who has an idea of how we can fix that.
Yeah.
There's what's this app? Is it an app? Yeah, it's an app that you have to, I don't know what goes into it, but it'll it bugs you to do things, like things you've been putting off.
Do you put the things in yourself, like to remind you?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, and then you get paid to actually check those things off your list. Like the ad I saw said, I got paid $50 to set up an appointment at the dentist. I've been meaning to do that forever, and this finally gave me the push I needed.
Could I be like, go to work, and then when I go to work, I get
Shut
paid?
Off your phone.
Or
Shut off your phone. That's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe they're going to come up with something that, I don't know. I bet there's already an app out there, something like that shuts off your phone at certain hours during the day. Like, you cannot turn it on.
There is stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like a certain alert at this time of the day. And but I never heard of the one where like you get paid for like actually hitting your goals. But that's a good idea. Well, how does that work though? Because like, how is it through advertisers that the app makes money, or how do they make money to just pay people out?
It could be. What's the one? There's a similar model out there where you get paid. Oh. Is it the one where it's the one for exercise? I think like you get paid to exercise or something, but if you don't do it, then it takes like $1 out or something.
No way.
So
That's
all
hilarious.
the people, and for most people, they're counting on people not using it.
Right.
So they are getting money from somewhere, but for the people that actually use it, it's working.
But it's an app. So like,
Yeah.
But so like, how do they know that you didn't exercise? Like, or like that you didn't.
I don't know the exact. I don't know the app
Right.
itself.
I'm just
I thought
playing
that
devil's
sounded
advocate.
ridiculous.
It
No, I
sounds
know.
really
I'm sure
interesting.
they've already figured that out or thought
Yeah.
of it or whatever. But, or is it? I can't remember what it is for. But you get money for something. Like, I would do it if I didn't have better things to do.
That's a really good idea, though. Like you get paid for when you hit it, and you pay when you don't hit it, and that kind of keeps the cycle of how the app makes the money or whatever. But I'm just thinking of the logistics of it. Or someone like watching you through your own camera, like some spy shit, and
No,
just like, is this person
it's not
working
exactly
out?
as I put it, but I just personally feel like if I downloaded that after like 2 days, I'd be like, hell no, I'm losing money.
Yeah.
And I just delete it off my phone.
Exactly. Or yeah. But no, that's interesting. Like, and that might be the thing that helps somebody become more health conscious, or like going to the gym with a friend. Anything that like that gets you going, and everyone has their own way of like motivation and encouragement. So like some people, they need that person in the gym, like a personal trainer, someone pushing them. Maybe the app is something. Maybe it's someone like here on a podcast just talking about it, and maybe they never had, like you said earlier about people having support. Maybe in their own life they don't have that kind of support. So maybe a different outlet, whatever that outlet is, gives them that support.
We are trying to find ways constantly to make up for that via apps. There's apps for everything. Meditation assistance, as we were talking about. Normally you would go and find your little community or your person who's been practicing, and you kind of follow them. But we have all kinds of stuff now to help us, and it's all through an app. But you are missing that kind of soul-to-soul interaction. Which you need.
And then we rely on it. Because like once we're used to it, that's just like the going thing. And I think I heard Louis C.K. talk about it in one of his comedy bits, where it's like he gets on a plane and it's the flight attendant announces it's the first time that they have Wi-Fi on that plane, and so everyone's super excited, and so everyone gets their phones and starts using the Wi-Fi on the plane, and then it cuts out like 30 minutes in. They're like, I'm sorry, we have technical difficulties, and someone shouts out, oh, this is such bullshit. It's like, you didn't even know it existed 30 minutes ago, and now you think it's something that you're losing. Like it's something you don't have. Like someone had to introduce it to you before you think it's something that you don't have.
Something that you needed.
Exactly.
You didn't think you needed it before, but now you,
It's like if they invented teleportation, like you could teleport anywhere in the world. Obviously it doesn't exist now, so if I'm just like, hey, could you live without it? You're like, well, of course. But if they invented it and it costs like $1 million to have, everyone's like, well, how come that guy gets that? Or like, how come I can't teleport? Or like, why does he get to do that? Or like, it's like it has to be introduced to you before you think it's something that you don't have. And that goes with anything, starting a business, taking your life somewhere. Like if someone looks at it and goes like, oh, how come this person's doing that? How come they have that going on? Or how, like, they just see themselves like not having it, and they don't understand it on like a bigger perspective. Even like we were saying too with the internet and social media, it's like likes culture. This person's getting more likes than me, this person's getting more attention, more noticed, more like whatever. Whereas like you said in the 90s, you just sit down, if your date wasn't there or whatever, you look around, look at the menu.
You wait. You are bored, you stare out the window, maybe talk to someone else, pick up a newspaper. I think they read those back then, right?
I think so. Those even exist anymore?
Yeah, they do.
I think I saw one at work the other day. But yeah, that's crazy too. Even like newspapers, it's like a alien object. You're just like, or like books even, anything.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've been having this conversation for years with people. When Kindle came out, I'm like, I don't want to read my book off of a computer screen. It's kind of harder on the eyes, and also you miss the smell of the book. A brand new book, it smells so good. And also, like, for studying, I have a photographic memory, so I know how far into the book, like how many pages out of the whole, where this information was, which part of the page, which paragraph. And you totally miss out on that. You need to touch things,
Yeah, and have it in front of you.
And we just don't have that contact anymore, and we can't hone that natural intuition and memory if we're just touching one object, the screen,
Exactly.
all day, every day.
You have a photographic memory?
I mean, not like, what's her face from A Series of Unfortunate Events. No,
Yeah.
the brother is the one that could, like, remember everything he read.
But you have, like, a certain level of it.
Yeah.
Whenever I meet someone with that, that's so, because I always ask about it, because some people, like, I knew a guy in high school that he could, like, read a whole page, but, like, doesn't study, he just reads a whole page 5 minutes before a test, and then just goes into the test and, aces
like
it.
that.
And then I'm studying all night, and I get, like, a C, I'm like, what the fuck?
I need to study all night, but it helps to see where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to see where it is on the page, because I will remember that. And I'll remember in the book, or if there was, like, a photo in the text or something next to it. Just the relation, or... yeah.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
Everybody has their own little tricks.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm always curious about that when someone mentioned, because everyone does have their own level of, like, photographic memory, but that's cool. And it's like I was saying with him, where, like, he can just look at a whole page. That's another thing, like, people's abilities to do things. And he was a really smart guy naturally, but it's like another thing too, like with this podcast and with manifesting what you want to do is a part of it's like really understanding like who you are and what your own abilities are. And I think a lot of people they don't like the conversations about, okay, what can I do, what am I capable of, what's my ceilings, what's my floors, what can I do relative to someone else, and what can I do to pay my bills and make my money. Because the second you have that conversation with someone like a friend or whatever, they start comparing their own ability, and if they're not at that level to talk about it, they see you like advancing past them or like thinking you can advance past them. So they say something that's like, oh, well, that's not realistic, like you should look at this option, but it's like, well, no, it might be realistic for me and not you. And then there's that this guy doesn't, I don't know how he feels about it, and like it's not good with what he's doing, so can't really mention that. But I think it's a good conversation to have, because how are you going to get somewhere if you don't know what you're aiming for? Like, how are you going to hit a goal if you don't really know, like, have a sense of direction of where you're trying to go? And that's something too with the podcast. It's like, it should be something not just here but anywhere, like just an open forum, like you were saying, with people talking to each other. And that's like a lost art. It's like we text each other about what's going on Friday, but you don't really know what you're doing 100 Fridays from now. Incomplete
conversations while you're usually engaged in something else.
Right.
You're not really hashing it out with a person. Yeah. It sounds like you're drawing on a specific conversation or conversations you've had with someone.
Not real. Just general.
I was curious because I'm like, did something happen?
Just general life stuff. I mean, it's not like
things you've noticed.
Things I've noticed just about people in general. It's like you'll be in a group and someone has something awesome going on, like they got promoted, and I'm just like, hey, like, congrats. And there's that one guy in the group that is like not really that happy for the guy because maybe he didn't get promoted or like he's not happy with his job, and he's used to like our group or whatever being like the group, and so someone advancing kind of changes the dynamics of things. And so like whether it's like your family or like there's all that,
there's always that. And then I feel like there's what we kind of miss out on is with helping each other and helping ourselves, is there's an opportunity for that one person, even within that group setting, to make themselves a little vulnerable and say, I wish I could do that, or I want to see how that can work out for me. How can I get a promotion, or how can I move into this position, or I don't know, get more money, advance somehow. And I'm sure those people, who are in it and enjoying that energy would like to spread it. Yeah. Naturally, we like to see each other win. We like to see each other happy. And I think we've trained ourselves to believe that everyone's against each other in the world, and that's not true. And if people ask, then they will receive that conversation that they're looking for and that support, even if it's just a little bit.
I think so. I agree. And I think most people are looking for like others to succeed and others to win. And I think though it is one of those things, like doing a podcast.
You definitely encounter otherwise.
You do encounter otherwise, but like even just doing a podcast, I have always been a naturally confident person, and something like this is very easygoing for me. And a lot of people, it'd be hard to like sit down and do a podcast or like talk in front of a crowd of people. And everyone has their own like abilities or whatever with things, but like if I'm making a podcast and I know somebody and maybe he wants to start a business, but he's not like that confident or something, he could come on the podcast one day and like promote his business. Yeah. So like we could both grow, but like sometimes he might like, he's like, oh, well, like how come I'm not that confident? It's always from like, like the mode of like feeling that you're not doing what someone else is doing, rather than having like a collective, we can all grow together, or how can I use this person as motivation and not a comparison of what I'm not doing or money I'm not making, or because like everyone's always going to have something that you don't have, or they're making money you don't make, or they have this going on that you don't, and so you can't do that with 7 billion people. You can't like meet someone and just start assessing all that. You have to just you have to take things as learning experiences, and if you're feeling a certain way about an issue, you have to really process that in yourself. Like, why am I feeling this way about it? Is it really because of something they're doing that's wrong, or is it something in myself that I'm not trying to address? But just like the example, like you're working with someone and like another coworker moves on to a better job, not even like moved up within the company, but moves to a better job, and someone starts to feel that like, oh, I'm still stuck here. You know, because it's like they take the other person's like joy or happiness or advancement and they start to reflect on like themselves. And I've seen this happen a lot, and it's hard not to for some people and for all of us at certain points, you know, because you're looking at like where you would like to be or whatever, and you're seeing other people what you perceive as making it happen. But it's like, you know, you got to understand like, why is that person getting that job? Maybe they're applying more. Maybe they maybe if this guy goes on and gets like a maintenance job, maybe he knows maintenance, and maybe you don't know how to fix things. So like if you want to do that, you would have to know what he knows, and it just can't always be a constant comparison thing. And I think it's kind of like a high school feeling where everyone like hangs out in like their own cliques. And like me, I was student body president in my high school senior year, and I had friends in every like clique because
Mr. Popular.
I don't even think of it that way. Like
just
I really don't. But like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's like I had friends that were jocks, they were in band, that were 4.0 kids, that did party. I don't look at people like that. And so like when I get out into the real world and I still see that, like people, they're like so into like their group of like 5 friends, and they don't know how to like communicate with someone, and like this person's weird, or this person's not cool, or it's just like, it's like high school times 2, like high school can carry it into life almost. And like you see kind of parallels with that.
So on an individual level, I mean, for someone to even seek the support they're looking for in whatever endeavor, I don't know, say personally, something that makes it a lot less scary is taking the first step, and even chopping that first step into tinier steps, and then taking the first step. It makes it a lot easier. Like
like breaking up into smaller manageable parts, so it's not so scary.
I'm trying to think, 'cause there's so many things I've started over the last few years. Or like the certification I told you about I'm getting for project management. What was the first step? Because this has been a while in the making.
How long of a process would you say?
It's individual, because it's on your own time. You're studying, you know, at home on your own time, and you take the exam whenever you schedule it. Some people take months because they're super busy. Some people take a whole year, you know. I don't think it takes that long to master the information, but I mean, I'm definitely struggling with it. I am having a difficult time. I'm not used to a self-led class where I don't understand the material. Like, I'm designing a course and I don't even know what I don't understand it. Yeah. So I'm getting really stuck. But what was the first step in that? I remember I didn't even know project management was a thing. Like, I kind of vaguely knew this is something people do, but I didn't know it had its own title. And I was totally lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do as a career to, you know, work on. And I asked my partner at the time, my boyfriend, if he would put me in contact with anyone at UCSD where I went, and it's where he worked. I think it had been probably like 2 or 3 years after I graduated, and he set me up with this like little coffee date with one of his colleagues from another department, and she was awesome. She just took an hour out of her day to sit down with me and
That's cool.
Chat about what she did. And she's like, I don't really know what you're looking for, what you want. I'm like, neither do I. Just tell me what you do. And you can like, yeah, and you know, and then she's like, well, what are you good at? What do you enjoy? And then she put the idea in my head. You should look into project management. You're very organized. You enjoy keeping things organized and leading some sort of project from beginning to end. I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I know that's something I like to do, but I didn't know that was an actual thing, a position, you know.
Mm-hmm. Something you could pay your bills with and work towards. And
so that's where I got that idea. But yeah, it's just take the first step, which is just toy with the idea, keep it fun, keep it fresh. Just, it's an interest. Don't put too much pressure on it, and just go find somebody to ask who's doing it already.
Absolutely.
And
put
see
it
what
out
they
there.
say. And I didn't know, and then after that, she's like, well, you can also get certified in it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Here's the name of the organization that does the examinations and the memberships and whatnot. Oh, okay.
Good stuff. How long ago was that? Because you said you're 26 now, so when was this conversation?
Yeah, I think I was 24. I think it was like 2 years ago. Less than that, maybe. Yeah, I think it was less than that for sure. Year and a half. And I had a lot of stuff going on, and I had moved into my first place shortly after that, and that was awesome and overwhelming. And so it's been like a while before I actually started studying, and then when I sat down to study it, I realized they sent a notice out saying they were going to change the exam, as apparently they do every 5 years.
Oh, wow.
To keep it up to date with what's actually going on in the workplace.
So did you have to like relearn a bunch of new information, or?
No, so I stopped, and then I waited for the new exam to come out. They then updated all the guidebooks, study books, which took even longer, online courses, which you have to get either 23 hours of instruction, or you have to have like 3 years of experience to even sit for the exam. So I chose an online course because I have no experience, and those took a while to be updated, of course, and then it was only like March that I was able to actually study up-to-date information. So I've been studying it for like 4 months now, is that? Yeah.
How's it been going for you?
It's good. I've had kind of an issue with my confidence. It's been like a roller coaster. Being out of school for 3 years and not having to study anything and not wanting to study anything.
And then going back into it.
And then my brain is like, I do not focus the same way anymore, you know? But it's also an unstructured course. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be teaching myself. So now every time I think that I'm prepared, I go and take like a practice exam or something, and I'm just like bombing. And I'm like, damn it, I shouldn't have been studying it from this angle. I should have picked it up from this angle. So I'm on a break right now, so I can kind of empty my head. And I'm going to pick it back up again, probably like next week, from a different angle.
See where it goes from there.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but I'm not giving up because I really want the certification.
Yeah, well, good for you. I mean, you're on a good track, and like you said, it's all on you. Like, you're your own teacher, your own like your pace of how you study. So maybe you pick it up for a little bit, then put it down, and you know. But like you said, the eventual goal is there, but you're just breaking it up into smaller parts that are manageable for you based on what you have going on outside of that, and just making it happen. So you're on a good track. That's good.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's any other goals or life goals or short-term goals in the works?
Better health. I'm getting there. That's already, I see a difference in that.
Cool. What are you doing to do better health? Food, diet, gym?
As is becoming a popular topic these days, removing toxic people from my life.
There you go.
More exercise, more social connection, social time, actually really trying to schedule times to hang out with my friends. Like, I got a coffee date here, lunch date here, we're going to the beach, you know, because I feel like nowadays everything's like so... people can flake. It's so easy to flake, or just, you know, change your plans all of a sudden. And I don't know. I feel like we don't end up meeting up as much as we think we do.
I think, it's like, oh, we should hang out this summer. Never happens. And that's
I'm like, this day, this time, does it work for you? Works for me. Okay, let's meet there. That makes a big difference. So, I've been eating a lot healthier. And I think the stress level's gone down for sure. Just making sure I'm focusing on like things that are good that are happening in my life that I'm making happen myself, and focusing on what's to come. Yeah,
nice.
which is good stuff. I'm sure of it. So
one step forward.
Something to be excited for rather than looking at, you know, things that have happened in the past or otherwise.
And that's hard to do sometimes, is to let something go or to overcome it. And I know we talked about this before. Something we want to touch on is overcoming failure, and just even the concept of like, what is failure? Because failure has kind of like a negative connotation to it, and no one likes to think that they failed at something or didn't accomplish something. But if you look at it, like, what is like a failure? Because everyone's just trying their best to do something, and that you have to fail to succeed. Because like anyone you see at one point in time doing something, like a guy playing baseball and he's in the majors, he didn't just like pick up the bat one morning like, oh, I'm just gonna go play baseball for millions of dollars. I'm a natural,
woo!
Yeah, and then so you see that, and so you're just like, oh, well, like
that's always the story we hear, though.
Yeah, must be nice to just like play baseball for a living, and but you don't see the hours that he's getting hit by a pitch, that he's striking out, that his coach is telling him he's not going to make it to the next level,
being away from family, or the worst that can happen in sports, injury happens easily, and then it's like, there goes your career, done.
Exactly.
Like that. And you don't have any money, you don't have any, you didn't, that was all you put your work into since you were little.
And you didn't save because you thought...
And then what? You got to figure it out.
Exactly, and then it's on to the next.
That's what you do.
Yeah, it's... But just like the concept of failure in general, I think is huge, because I think a lot of people don't want to fail, which it's like natural to not want to fail. Like, you want to succeed, but like, how are you going to succeed if you're not willing to fail? Because there's no, it's like, this is the life I want to live, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's just going to happen. I think that's how people think about it. Like, I want to be an author, and I'm just going to write a paragraph one day and I'm going to be a best-selling author, rather than I'm going to write pages and pages. I'm going to write a whole book and I'm going to put that out, and it's not going to go anywhere, but people are going to start saying, oh, this person wrote something, I'm going to pay attention to them now. So maybe the second book, it has enough buzz where it gets published to where people are buying it. So, but people don't want to put out that first book because, oh, well, it hasn't happened yet. They don't want to go through the process. If the first book
doesn't get them what they want, they're done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't do that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because how do you get anything done? Or like, I want to lose all this weight, but I don't want to go to the gym. Or I want to gain all this muscle, but I don't want to go to the gym. This person out here, he's trying to make it, and he might have all the talent in the world, but he doesn't have that backing or someone that's going to promote it. And so that's another thing. Like, you think this guy over here, oh, that he's talented because he made it, or he has followers, or he has this. But it's like, that's an illusion too. Like, this person already has followers, therefore it's someone I should listen to. This person has 0 followers. Oh, who's that? And so we kind of have that as like a new scale of comparison.
Yeah.
And another thing that social media is not really helping with. It's like, this is someone to listen to, or someone more important, or someone higher on the human spectrum than that person because they have this following, so I should pay attention to them. And so sometimes it can be hard to like discern what's something worth listening to and what's something not worth listening to. Because who's to say that the next big rapper, the next big artist, musician, anything isn't someone that you know, but you're not even giving them the credit because you see, oh, well, they don't have followers, or like you don't even, like, the person that you're seeing now, that was someone who started for any goal. Like, not even famous or mainstream or anything like that, but just like anyone that you can see at one point in time, like, that was a baby at one point. They went to school, they have a family, they like made mistakes, they have friends, like, they started at one point. You see them at like 40 years old or something with like all this success. Like, you got to understand, like, that is a person, like, goes through human experiences, and so there's a lot that's possible. It's just really like reworking your mind on a lot of things.
And they could still be struggling beneath all that anyway. Life is life. It's more comfortable when you're rich, but more comfortable when you have that success, but life is still life.
Exactly. And then there's new problems that come with being rich, and problems that a lot of people wouldn't know are problems because they're not rich, and so they don't really see that as a problem. Or like like, how could you, like a celebrity kills himself, and it's like, how could you be rich and famous and not want to live? It's like, okay, well, that's a person. Maybe they have a depression, maybe something in their family happened and you don't know about it because all you do is you watch their career, so you look at them as this, oh my god, like, amazing person, but you don't see the human being behind it, or what they have to deal with, or something from their childhood that's still like carried with them. There's a lot going on out there, and that's why you really can't look at someone with like money or whatever and immediately get into that like zone of it. It's really about understanding like the human being for what they are. And that's another thing too I want to do with this podcast, is I want to make I want to like normal things out and like have it be an open conversation, or like I know Joe Rogan's podcast, he'll have like a scientist on, and then he'll have like an author, and then he'll have like
fun,
like just like different professions and different walks of life, and there's no like real like, oh, like this type of person is who we want. No, it's just like regular conversation with people that are going in whatever direction they're going, and hopefully something positive is said. Hopefully someone gets something out of the podcast. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but that's like anything. You do it and see where it goes, and see who benefits, and if something's not, then you find a way to make it better and just keep going, like with any goal.
Yeah.
What would you say is like from your personal experience with failure, like what's your best way to overcome that and to keep going and to wake up the next day with that same sense of pride and enthusiasm?
Something I'm learning now is to be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself. That makes it a lot easier, whatever you're doing. I think we can be very, and I notice this with myself and with my friends, especially the friends that are always like there for me when I need them, you know, whatever it is they're not as nice to themselves as they are to me. Or everybody else, you know, and you have to do that to yourself. You have to, there's a saying, what is it? Your compassion must include you. So whatever you're doing, whatever you've messed up on, if you have done wrong in a relationship, if you've mistreated somebody, if you've messed up at work, if you made a mistake anywhere, you like take a step outside of yourself and I don't know, I try and talk to myself the way I would talk to a friend. I sometimes will sit there and talk to myself out loud the way I would talk to a friend. And I have to carry whatever mantra I found, you know, with me throughout the day. I remember I was going through a hard time. I kind of have a bit of a difficult history with depression, but I was going through a hard time like 2 years ago, especially. I was at a job, but I just hated it. It was an energy suck. I hated my bosses. I had like my office buddy, but you know, in addition to dealing with stuff at home, I was just like, I hated going there. It was 3 hours round trip, my drive.
Damn.
I was just sitting in like bumper to bumper traffic. By the time I got home, I didn't, you know, have any time to really cook a real meal. Then I had to go to bed really quickly, you know, so I could wake up the next day and do the same thing. My job was boring. I didn't have anything to contribute. And my bosses were Trump supporters. And I just, I don't know. I kind of went through it. It was a downward spiral for a few months. I didn't last long there, but I came to a point, you know, just before my breakdown of the season when I had to tell myself it's not your fault that you're unwell, it's not your fault that you're unwell, or like this pain isn't yours, like you're just carrying it, or it's passing, this pain isn't yours,
it's temporary.
Yeah, I had to keep saying it and to stop beating myself up for, you know, going through what I was going through, because you get sick sometimes, you're not well all the time. I mean, who is? To just take the pressure off of myself. Like, I wasn't sad because I'm a bad person. I'm not, you know, stuck because I'm a bad person. I'm not unhappy because I'm a bad person. It's because I know that there's something else better out there for me, and I just need to go find it. But in the meantime, be kind to yourself, or else you can't make that transition into what's better for you.
That's awesome.
There's a quote, nothing in nature blooms all year round. I really like that.
Yeah, jinx.
I really yeah, I love
cool.
that quote, because it's so true, and you really just have to remember that nothing in nature blooms all year round. Like, you're gonna go through lulls and periods where it sucks, or it just doesn't feel good, or it's just not sparkly, you know?
Yeah.
It just seems banal and, you know, like, but that's okay.
It's how it's supposed to be.
It's okay to stay there for a while. Like, you don't have to always be on the up and up and up. I think that's how we talk about things. It could even sound like that's how we're talking about it now. Ambition. It's like, but, you know, realistically, sometimes part of ambition is, it's kind of like flatlining, and that's okay. Sometimes you need a period to rest, or you're just going to find yourself in these patterns or in a place that's transitional, and it's okay to, be there and just recognize that and be compassionate toward yourself and respect that space you're in, and you will move out of it when it's time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a really good point about that it's not all the time. Like, it's not always a happy day. It's not always a sad day. It's not always one thing. Like, there's different seasons, and it's never just one set thing. And you would never really know a happy day if you didn't have a sad day.
No, and you wouldn't be able to appreciate it. So
you wouldn't have that point of comparison.
It's the law.
And even too with work and what we're talking about, and like working a job, or being people that feel like they're stuck in a certain pattern where they have that job they don't like and they're in traffic. And even just on the balance thing, like when someone goes like on their weekend, they're excited to be off. Like when you're off, like other people are working. So like when you go out to the beach, like the lifeguard's working. You go shopping, the people there in the shops are working. And so when you're at work, someone else is maybe off, and so that's when they can enjoy their time. So we have this cycle where we're all trying to contribute something to society. And sometimes people feel like, oh, like work sucks, but it's like, it's good to work, and it's good to like do something for someone else. Because like, how could, like, I work at a hotel, and I use this example all the time, where like everyone always wants to be on vacation. They want to travel, they post their pictures, like, and when someone else is traveling, sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I was traveling. But it's like, if how could you travel if that person isn't working at the hotel? Someone has to not be on vacation for you to be on vacation.
Yeah.
Someone had to go to med school for 12 years for you to just go to the doctor and get a quick fix. Someone has to be working 40 hours a week for you to get that service, whatever that service is. And so a lot of times it's we look at it from the vantage point of like, oh, like another day of work, or like I have this bad day going on. But it's like, but everyone does, and everyone's on it. You're not in it alone.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think that was a great point about the podcast. It's yes, I do want to. I talk about the podcast in like a positive light, like ambition, because like I'm not trying to add like negative words to it, but it's a realistic podcast, and like it should be like when you're talking about depression and everything, like that's why I want it to be. It should be about real conversations. It's not just about ambition and like every dream is possible and everyone can do anything.
I think it's taking a holistic view of it. Like the failure is part of the bigger picture, and the flatlining is part of the bigger picture. Depression's part of the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is good. So all those things are okay,
and they'll lead somewhere, even if you don't see it now.
And they're important to the bigger picture. So they're not negative items, I think, but they're learning items. It's to train yourself to think of it that way, where it's like, it's not like necessarily a negative experience. It's a necessary one, or it's a learning one, or maybe it's negative for something that I personally did or didn't do. So maybe I'm, instead of blaming some external factor, it's like, I could have treated that person better. I could have studied harder. I could have worked a little harder towards that goal. I could have applied myself. I could have woke up early instead of just sleep in till this time. And like a lot of times, instead of looking at it from the negative, it's like, okay, well, maybe that I learned something from this, and I'm going to take something out of it that's so positive that because I had that one negative bump in the road, I'm going to have 10 times more positive results because I was able to see something. And that's another thing too with failing. It's like, if you're someone that's afraid of failure and you're always trying to stay comfortable, you're never going to know like the things to learn, or like what you could be doing better, or like a door that could open, or like, oh, that person I wouldn't normally be friends with, so I'm not going to talk to them. Well, how do you know? What if they taught you something you wouldn't have learned, or that I have this job opportunity and you needed work, and like you don't really know what door you're closing by being closed off like that. Yeah. And it's just about staying open and staying just staying honest about what's going on, and like what you're trying to achieve, and where you're currently at with things, both the positive and the negative, and just do what you can do to advance. Yeah. Can we end on a quote for these episodes? I think that'd be nice.
I think that'd be cool.
I see so many quotes I love, and I always save them.
Say a bunch of them. Get a whole page of quotes and just...
Okay, well, quote of the day.
Go for it.
Quote of the episode: "Nothing in nature blooms all year long."
I love that. That's perfect. I didn't hear that one until you just told me today.
I don't know who said it, but we can all use it.
It's true.
We can all use that reminder every day.
I mean, not to be a pessimist about it, but we are in San Diego, so it is kind of nice all year round. It is,
some things are drying out right now.
Yeah, that's true. But no, I get the point. It's it's good, and that's that's just like a good way to look at it. It's just like, it is like a roller coaster. Someone's like, oh man, I have all these ups and downs, but it's like everyone has ups and downs. And it's part of the process, and it's part of just going through things. And sometimes it's really easy to think you're the only one experiencing something. Like, I'm the only one with problems. I'm the only one with work issues, family issues. It's like, no, everyone has that, and that, you know, they might not be comfortable to say it, so you don't know that.
Lay it out there.
Yeah.
Lay all the quote unquote dirty laundry out there, because it's not that dirty.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of quotes, I heard one the other day that was so it was like, if we took all our problems and put them into a pile for everyone to see, you would take your own back. You wouldn't take other people's problems.
No, yeah, yep. Yeah, I do think about that often. When I'm like, God, this sucks, and I'm like, oh my God, my friend told me about some really fucked up shit that happened when she was this age, and I'm good.
Yeah, and it's like that perspective, and it's
I'm good. Yeah, I'd rather just keep my own.
And it's like, it's doing those checklists. It's like, okay, I have 3 meals each day. I have a place to sleep. I don't pay for it. You know, I have a car. I'm able to go anywhere any given time. So it's not like I don't have a Mercedes or I don't have this. It's like that person, they have to take the bus.
But you have freedom. You're not locked down anywhere.
Exactly. And that person's so poor that they can't even have like a bike. So they're walking everywhere. And then they can't even get work because they've already been in an environment where there's already like little hope and like little opportunity. So they're already starting from a lower point. Yeah. And so here you are in like maybe like a nice city, or from like a decent socioeconomic status from your family, or you're just like happy, or just like any positive thing that you could have. It's good to know that what you have relative to other people. So instead of always looking at like what you don't have or what you would like to be, it's good to have that reflection on, okay, this is what I do have relative to some people that maybe they look to my position where they would want that. So instead of increasing the anxiety about like not being at a certain place, it's like, okay, breathe. I'm in a good spot. Things will happen if I just keep putting in the work towards it.
Yeah. Too true. All about attitude. They always say that. I mean, especially when you're little and you think about all those quotes in the classroom, shoot for the moon, and all the stuff about failure, and all the stuff about goals and mistakes and dedication. It doesn't really mean anything until you've gone through it, and then you're like, okay, yeah, all right.
I think there's something to that. Like the motivational quotes and posters and that, and I like looking at things from the positive standpoint, but like you said, it is about being real, and it's not like every person can do every single thing, but I think most things are possible if you really just like readjust your mindset. So like obviously someone who's 30 years old that never played football, they're not just going to walk onto like an NFL team, but like you want to start a business, or you want to fix your health, or you want to get a job that doesn't suck. I mean, those are very attainable goals if you just give yourself like a amount of time to do it, and you actually work towards it. And it's like, oh, I don't like my job now, but hey, maybe in 5 years you could like your job. So what are you doing now for 5 years to be
that's a long time to wait.
It is, but it isn't.
Let's go for 5 weeks.
But I'm saying about like really, really like whether you need to go to school for 4 of those years, or whether you want to be a personal trainer, so you got to work out and study health for 4 years, or you want to start a business, so you have to put money into the business for 4 years and promote it. Whatever that end goal is, instead of being like, I don't currently have that, it'd be like, okay, in 5 years I could have that, in 1 year I could have that, in a month I could have this, and like you were saying, it's just you're breaking up into smaller parts.
Smaller doable items. Yeah.
I like it. I think that's a good way to sound off for the first episode of the Impodcast, and thank you for joining me, Kalila. I think it went over really well, and looking forward to do more podcasts in the future.
Me too.